All right, so in this video, we're gonna talk about the 5 main reasons why you can't build muscle. And if this video reaches enough people, I truly believe it's going to have a very, very positive impact, especially given the current state of the fitness industry and the bullshit information that is being spewed left, right, and center. So the primary principle, this is the first main principle that carries into every other reason, and it's that you are not getting stronger at your big basic lifts. So if you look back in the past couple of months, how much have you added to your squat, your bench press, your deadlift, your overhead press, weighted pull up, rows? And it doesn't have to be a 1 rep max. It can be a 5 rep max, a 10 rep max. If you've gone stronger at your big basic lifts that train the majority of your physique, then you'll have gone bigger. Look at a guy who's repping 315 on the bench press, repping 405 on the squat. Is he small? Fuck no, because he's strong as shit at the big basic lifts. Obviously there's outliers, but for the most part, the biggest natural lifters are the strongest. So that needs to be your primary focus. And if you're not getting stronger at your big basic lifts, you need to take a step back and really look at the overall structure of your training, your nutrition, and your rest, because that is the primary principle. And that's the reason why everyone's having trouble gaining muscle. It's because they're not getting strong. They're not strong at their big basic lifts. So really focus on getting strong at the big basic compound lifts, and you'll never have any issues gaining significant amounts of muscle mass. The next reason you can't gain muscle mass is because you're program hopping. So we live in the age of information overload, where if someone doesn't see the best results of their life within 2 weeks of a program, they can go on YouTube, go on Google, and search and find a different program to hop on. One of the most important things you need to do is commit to a sound philosophy and just stick with it. The person who follows a suboptimal training plan but still has a couple of key principles in place will make far more progress than someone who's finding these perfect workout routines but swapping between them every couple of weeks. So consistency is the most important thing. You have to stick to the program, stick to what you're doing for a long time in order to milk it dry of strength gains. Because what's going to happen is that when you stick with the same workout, the same boring, simple workout dominated by basic exercises for a long time, what happens is that you master the lifts and you end up getting really, really strong at them. And that is the underlying key to building a great natural physique. It's sticking with the same boring routine, with the same exercises, and milking it dry of strength gains for a long period of fucking time. That is one of the secrets to building an incredible natural physique. Nobody has the ability to do the same thing over and over again, just due to the realities of the society we live in nowadays, where we have instant hits of dopamine. No one can delay gratification. Nobody can do the same thing over and over again. But that's what's required when you're building a natural physique. You have to stick to the same routine, same exercises over and over, chip away at them, get stronger at them. And that is the key to building a great physique. You're gonna get really, really strong at those exercises because you're practicing them a lot, you're getting really good at them. And that's how you're gonna build a significant muscle base. Reason number 3, and this is probably the most common, is that you're not allowing yourself to bulk. And due to the fitness industry and so many different fitness influencers, there's this skewed perception that you can just stay shredded year round and add slabs of muscle. It's just not going to happen, guys. And I'm speaking from experience, because when I was beginning my lifting career, I was always worried about staying shredded, having the razor sharp abs, and I never gained any muscle and strength. So as a man, as a young guy, you need to go through periods where you're getting thicker and you're getting fluffier and getting a little bit soft, because that dream physique that you have in mind is a result of bulking for a long time and really, really building that muscle base. You can't chisel a pebble. Too many guys are worried about going straight into their lifting career, getting shredded right away. But the reality is that you're gonna need to spend at least the first 2 years bulking consistently without cutting. Preferably more than that, especially if you're a young guy. You wanna milk as much muscle and strength as you can. So let yourself bulk. Bulking is so fucking important. And I created a rule for my audience to follow that goes like this. It's called the 9-3 rule, or the 10-2 rule. And it states that until you've bulked for 9 to 10 months of the year, you don't even want to think about cutting. So the reality is that the reason why this rule works so well is because it prioritizes reaching your genetic muscular potential. And the fact of the matter is that fat loss does not take very long. you can trim off a significant amount of fat within 2 to 3 months, whereas muscle building as a drug-free lifter takes years. So it only makes sense to prioritize gaining that muscle as fast as you can and not self-sabotaging yourself by wanting to stay shredded all the time. So really, your focus as a drug-free lifter, especially at the beginning when you haven't built a significant base, is that you need to bulk. And of course, due to the fitness industry, lean bulking is a horrible term. Lean bulking has destroyed a lot of guys' perception of what bulking really is. And terms like main gaining and recomping, it's bullshit. You need to constantly go back and forth between bulking and cutting cycles, and you always need to be bulking and cutting. There's no main gaining, there's no recomping. That shit will get you nowhere. You need to always be bulking or cutting, and really emphasize the bulking, because that's what's going to allow you to build your base, and then you can worry about getting lean further down the road once you build a significant base. But if you don't bulk, guys, if you don't spend significant chunks of time bulking, you're never going to get to your dream physique. You're going to spin your wheels over and over and over again, and really it's going to take you a lot longer to get to that goal. So prioritize bulking, especially at the beginning. The other thing to note is that it really doesn't make sense why people are so obsessed with being shredded, because the only time when it actually looks good is when you're in front of a camera facing forward. So really, if you turn to the side and literally from any other angle other than from the front, you will never look like you lift, especially in person. Some of the most shredded guys, if you see them in person, they're tiny, they're swimming in their shirts, they look just like an average guy. If you want to actually be a lifter and have a respectable physique, you need to bulk. And when you bulk, guys, you're gonna be walking down the street and people will actually see that you lift, especially for guys who aren't making content, aren't building, you know, a fitness related brand or whatnot on the internet. It's going to benefit you to be a little bit bigger and thicker. So really focus on the thickness. In person, I get way more compliments about my physique when I'm bulking, even though if the shirt comes off, I don't look quite as insane as when I'm shredded. No one's gonna compliment you when you're shredded when you have clothes on. And if you live in a place like Ottawa where it's winter, like 6 to 8 months of the year, it does not make sense to worry about being shredded all the time. It's better to stay thicker, stay bigger, and you're gonna look much better in clothes, which is what you're going to be wearing most of the year. You're only gonna be, you know, with your shirt off, showing the shreds a couple months of the year, and you can focus on staying lean during that time. But for the rest of the year, prioritize bulking. And really, don't worry about lean bulking and trying to eat in this tiny little calorie surplus, because the problem with lean bulking is that you try to put yourself in this 100 to 200 calorie surplus and you actually don't know whether you're in a calorie surplus or not. So you need to actually eat in the 300 to 400 calorie surplus to actually be assured that you're in a calorie surplus to begin with, and not eating at like in a deficit or at maintenance, because there's no way, because tracking is always off. Tracking your calories is always off. So you need to have that assurance policy that's going to help you to know that you're actually in a surplus and gaining muscle. Don't listen to people who tell you can stay shredded year round as a natural lifter. It's going to keep you small, underdeveloped, and you'll be spinning your wheels for years, just like I did when I was beginning my lifting career. Next reason you're struggling to gain muscle is because you're training too much and too often. So as I said, the primary driver of muscle growth is progressive poundage, progressive overload on your big compound lifts. The problem with conventional bodybuilding routines is that the volume and the frequency is way too high, the exercise selection is way too high, and your effort is being diluted into a bunch of different volume and frequency and exercises and all that bullshit. Your focus needs to be put purely into getting strong with the big basic lifts, training them hard with intensity and high effort. The volume game's not the game for natural lifters, I'm sorry. You can't train like a bodybuilder when you're natural and expect to build an incredible physique. You need to be focused on the strength gain on the big foundational compound lifts. That's what is going to build your physique, and these high volume approaches make it absolutely impossible for you to properly recover, come back to the gym stronger, and consistently add strength. So it doesn't matter how much you're training. I built my physique training just 2 to 3 days per week, just 4, 5, 6 exercises per workout with just 2 to 3 sets per exercise, hard sets. So the reality is that most people just don't know how to fucking train hard. And that's why people can see themselves in the gym 5 to 6 days a week. It's because they don't know how to bring a high level of effort into their training. Most people's idea of failure is about 3 to 5 reps shy of failure. So the people who think they can be in the gym 5, 6 days a week, they just don't know how to bring intensity into their training yet. And that's why they think that they can be in the gym that often. But the reality is that 2 hard sets on an exercise is much better than 5 half-ass sets. That's just a fact. So you need to learn how to bring that intensity and train with that high effort, with progressive overload, progressive poundage in mind. And you're not going to be able to train that much. You're going to have to put a much higher emphasis on recuperation, resting, coming back stronger. I would not be at the strength level I'm at if I trained any more than 3 days per week. So more often for me, it's 2 to 3 days per week with the routines dominated by big basic exercises. And when your routine is dominated by big basic compound lifts, those movements take a lot out of you. If you're training just isolation movements, trying to isolate every single muscle group, then yeah, you'd be able to do more, but it's a very inefficient way to train, especially when you're drug-free. So when you're training these big hard-hitting compound lifts and you're bringing a high intensity and high effort into them, and you're pushing for strength gains, you're pushing past your previous capabilities, you're not going to be able to make strength gains following that approach, being in the gym all the time. It's just not going to happen. So short, intense workouts focused on progressive overload on the big basic lifts are the best way to build a natural physique, and it's not going to take up too much of your life as well. Too many people are fucking obsessed with their fitness routines. Go in the gym, stimulate, don't annihilate, train hard, and then get the fuck out and worry about the other areas of your life. Too many people are obsessed with their fitness routines, living in the gym. It's bullshit. You don't need to give your fitness that much attention for it to be effective. That's an absolute lie, and it's been pushed on us by the fitness industry. You don't need to be obsessed with it to get incredible results. Hit the key principles. Hit the gym 2-3 days per week. Train hard on the big compound lifts. Get strong. And obviously, bulk, eat enough, and that's all you really need to do. It's very simple. It's just a few key principles. Don't let anyone complicate fitness for you. It's very, very simple. So last but not least, the last reason why you can't gain muscle, especially as a drug-free lifter, is that you're not training squats and deadlifts. I truly, truly believe that your gains are directly proportionate to the effort that you put into squatting and deadlifting hard. So no exercises stimulate the entirety of your body as well as squats and deadlifts. People often say, yeah, I don't want to add any size to my legs. I don't want tree trunk legs as an excuse to not squat and deadlift. But the squat and the deadlift stimulate the entire body and create an anabolic response, and they grow the entirety of your physique. For a long time, people have called the squat not the squat, but the growing exercise. They call it the growing exercise because it grows your entire body. It's ridiculous. If you're a beginner especially, you can grow your arms, your chest, your shoulders from squatting. It's absolutely insane. It's a magical exercise. So if you're not squatting and deadlifting, which sounds very basic, it sounds very cliche, but the reality is that it's become a trend to go against these lifts when really they've been time tested, tried and true for decades. Guys like Reg Park, Arnold, they built their base doing squats and bench press. Those were the staples, 20 rep squats and benching. That's how guys like Arnold and Reg Park built their base. This is how physiques have been built. This is how people trained before the steroid era, before they had access to all these machines and all the drugs and all the supplements. They trained fucking hard on the squats and the deadlifts primarily, and the big basic lifts, other lifts like dips, bench press, overhead press. This is how guys built their physiques before all the drugs and machines and this whole fucking ridiculous bodybuilding bullshit came about. This is how guys built their physiques. So if you're not squatting and deadlifting, I truly believe that you're not going to reach your genetic muscular potential without prioritizing the squat and the deadlift. They're without a doubt the most productive exercises you can be doing in the gym. The squat and deadlift have the potential to take a shitty fucking workout program and make it very effective. That's how good of exercises they are. So, Tom Platz, he said, one of the things he said was, and he had the craziest legs of any bodybuilder ever. And what he said is that if you're not squatting, you're not going to reach your bodybuilding potential. It's just not going to happen. And the same can be said for the deadlift. So for all you guys wanting aesthetic physiques and big arms, chest, shoulders, squatting and deadlifting training your legs really hard on the squat and deadlift actually increase your growth potential throughout your entire body. So when I was beginning my training career, I was like most young guys nowadays who just want to train their upper body. I just want upper body aesthetics. And my whole body stayed small, even though I was training really good upper body exercises like the bench press, the overhead press, chin-ups, rows. My body stayed small, even my upper body, when I was training those really good lifts, because I wasn't training my squats and deadlifts. And the body likes to grow as a whole. As I said in one of my recent videos, you can't isolate certain body parts and expect your whole body to grow. It's just not going to happen. You need to train the big basic lifts, like squats and deadlifts, the foundational movements, and your body's gonna grow as a whole. So when your legs start growing as a response to the heavy squats and deadlifts, your upper body is gonna grow naturally too, and your upper body lifts are going to increase. So when I started squatting and deadlifting, my bench press took off in strength, my overhead press took off in strength, and my whole body started growing massively, and I gained a ton of muscle. And for all you guys wanting aesthetics, do not fucking listen to people who are telling you to place muscle in certain areas and bullshit like that and go for a certain proportion. The reason why that's bullshit is because that is largely controlled by your genetics. Your genetics are gonna control the way your muscles develop. The only thing you can do, especially as a natural lifter, to build an aesthetic physique is to gain as much muscle as possible and then get lean. That is fucking everything that you can do. And squats and deadlifts are two of the best exercises to build muscle. So if you're not squatting and deadlifting, you're leaving a shitload of gains on the table, and you're really shortchanging your natural bodybuilding progress. So that's why you should include squats and deadlifts, and they are the key exercises of the key exercises. They are the key exercises in any routine, and they absolutely must be trained, and trained fucking hard with progression. You will thank me later. People don't like them because they are hard fucking work. They're really hard work. But that lies in where, you know, they're so effective. That's the reason. So if you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe. This really just cut through the entire fitness industry, because no one promotes the basics. No one promotes the way that drug-free lifters trained before all this bodybuilding bullshit and all the machines and steroids and all that. No one promotes the way that guys used to build their physiques back in the day when they had very little access to all of the shit we do now. This is real training, this is real drug-free training, and this is how shit works when you're natural. This is how you build an incredible physique, and these are the 5 main reasons why everyone struggles to gain muscle, and there's a lack of muscle mass in this world and within the people who are coming up watching this era of fitness content. So as I said, if you guys enjoyed this, drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Check out my blog, I have a ton of great content on there. You guys can hop on my mailing list if you want to never miss out on updates with Polarity Fitness, and we'll talk soon.